See, the other thing I'm gonna miss about this era, well, I wasn't really there to see it, but I saw it a lot on my old basketball VHS tapes. It's the middle-aged, business and business casually dressed white guys getting their minds blown.
Alley-oop. Forget about it. Good help. Dennis lost it. And here's Cheeks.
Don't see a lot of that these days.
I'll do it.
Isaiah with the pill.
Check it out.
AJD Cap Company introduces official NBA signature caps.
Okay, Dominique's two-hand slam.
No problem.
Quality, one-size-fits-all wool caps with your favorite NBA team's colors and logo.
Bird's three-pointer.
No sweat.
And your favorite NBA player's name, number, and signature. Take it from me, Dick Stockton. Feel like a superstar.
And then there's Bill Cartwright. Cartwright. I'm sorry, that was spell check.
Bill Cartwright!
We need to bust another MJ story. It's buried in here, I know. About our man Bill Cartwright. Why? Because of course, if Michael Jordan is involved, there's a good chance there's more to the story than we've been told. Yep. Okay, Bill Cartwright on his own is an NBA legend. Number one, because he won a bunch of rings with Jordan and the Bulls. As a starting center, he was a great leader, and he's got that weird ass shot that makes him memorable. But as time moves on, the thing I see floating around his name most, the 10,000-pound Marmaduke duct taped to his legacy's ankle, is this tale. Admittedly, it's not as outlandish or egregious as the Muggsy Bogues one. He didn't end his career with 3 words, but it is a story that digs at the reputation of a player only to build up the myth of Jordan. Here's how it goes on every single website. Jordan bullying Bill Cartwright. Jordan was so unhappy with the Bulls organization, so when they brought Bill Cartwright to town, he made sure the front office was aware. MJ even nicknamed him Medical Bill, I guess on account of his injuries, his knee, I guess, and his age, and intentionally threw terrible passes his way in practice to make him look bad. Well, how succinct is that? Quick obvious note here, how selfish is that? Instead of figuring out how to work with this dude, MJ deliberately made his passes more difficult to catch. Yeah, sure, all about winning, okay. Don't listen to him, Mike. It's all about you and me. Now, this does sound like some MJ shit. And as a result, Bill is painted as this feeble old man who is taking this abuse and doesn't stand a chance against the all-time bully. And on top of that, he can't even catch a god-blessed pass. What a loser. If it's true, why is this man even playing? Why is he a starting center on an all-time great team? I'm so confused. And again, nowhere in the tale does it claim that these insults ruined him, but it does leave a clear impression of Mr. Cartwright in our heads. Weak and useless, and in no way a threat to anybody. But then why did Phil Jackson say that he's one of the hardest working men in the NBA he's ever seen? Why did the rest of the team refer to him as Teach and not Medical Bill? Because obviously there's more to the story. There's always more to the story. That's why we do this little dance here. So let's get some background on Bill. Bill Cartwright, in this all-out era, was holding his own just fine. He actually had a reputation for knocking folks the out. He had these really sharp elbows.
A cheap hit on Cartwright and absolutely no call down there.
And he would just dunk all over people.
Court trap. Good pass. Wilkins to Cartwright.
And if you went up against him in the lane, there was a good chance you were going to end up on the ground.
No foul, no basket.
He was a tough, hardworking, smart leader of men. And let's just go back to this Rodman clip again. And let's take a look at this particular altercation. Look how he handles this little out-of-control kid. This is a G move. This guy clearly knows what he's doing. I don't know if he was planning on putting him to sleep with an uppercut, or maybe even a knee to the face, MMA style. But either way, this is a man who knows what he's doing. So we need to recategorize where we file Bill in our brains.
And then Bill grabs him in a headlock.
And to start doing that, let's get the whole Jordan Cartwright story. Here's a few choice passages from the infamous book, The Jordan Rules, from 1991. On June 27th, the night Bill Cartwright was traded to the Bulls for Charles Oakley, he didn't anticipate the problems that would develop between him and Jordan. Jordan never cared much for Cartwright's play and wondered immediately who would be his policeman now. Not with a bumbling Cartwright, and Horace Grant wasn't ready for primetime just yet. Who would take Oakley's place in the starting lineup? The big question was Cartwright's knee. Cartwright always said he was ready to go. You couldn't even get Cartwright out of practice because he said he needed to keep conditioned for the games. But by playoff time in 1990, Cartwright's knee was so wrecked he couldn't sit in a car for more than a few minutes with his knee bent. On the team buses to game, he had to lie flat on his seat. But he never talked to anyone or complained about it. He just went out and played. Jordan never saw any of that in Cartwright, who Phil Jackson said works harder than any player I've ever come across, including Michael. Cartwright once summed up his philosophy of the game by saying, "You just play until there's no game left in your uniform." Quick interjection here, this is getting ridiculous. This guy sounds like the type of guy Jordan would admire. He works extremely hard, he doesn't complain, he shows up to practice, he's willing to do whatever. But the MJ who appreciates that type of stuff isn't a real person. That person doesn't exist. Petty Jordan is real. Petty Jordan. Meanwhile, Jordan, during practice, would dart into the lane and shoot Cartwright a no-look pass. Invariably, it would bounce off of Cartwright's hand and go out of bounds. "He's causing me too many turnovers," Jordan said to reporters, always making sure Cartwright could hear him. God, what a dick. Sometimes his passes would be just a little too hard, and they would bounce out of bounds off Cartwright. And Jordan would shake his head and look towards the then-coach Doug Collins disgustedly, stretching his arms out, palms up in the air, all dramatic, as if saying, "What more can I do?" But Cartwright refused to back down. And in the other parallel universe, the coaches would always say that if you want to know how to get things done, you watch Bill Cartwright. That's Coach Jackson. He went on to say he's got the best footwork on the team. Yeah, including Jordan. Everyone calls him Teach, but Phil Jackson says, "I don't think I ever heard Michael call him that though." And it's not likely, because Jordan felt Cartwright couldn't score a basket in an empty gym. Jordan liked to belittle Cartwright in the locker room. He'd imitate Cartwright's unorthodox shooting style with wild, exaggerated moves that left many of his teammates trying to stifle laughter when Cartwright was nearby. Cartwright would just look away and blame immaturity. But Jordan went one step too far that first season. He was angry over the Bulls' slow start and had already gone to Jerry Krause during the Western trip in November to ask that he make some trades. "I need help," he told Krause. Krause explained the Bulls had salary cap problems, which Jordan neither understood or cared about, so he made some decisions. One was that he would have to do just that much more himself, and he couldn't do that having Cartwright fouling things up, especially late in games. So he told Horace Grant, Sam Vincent, and Scottie Pippen, the three players who were usually on the floor at the end of games with him, that they were not to pass Cartwright the ball in the last 4 minutes of the game. "If you do that," Jordan said, "you'll never get the ball from me." Who did? I mean, how God bless it often do we hear about how the greats are great because they make their teammates better all the time. Dude, MJ was not into that. I mean, really, you wonder what they could have been if MJ knew how to really get the best out of his teammates, you know, not berate them and hit them, a little more carrot, a little less stick. I mean, I'm sure somebody will say that it clearly worked, but I'll say, well, maybe instead of 72-10, you're looking at 79-3, and maybe an undefeated run in the playoffs. Listen, you can always get better. Okay, where am I? Ah, yes. Back in the locker room, eventually word got back to Bill, what MJ was saying. And he didn't do or say anything to anybody until late that season when he told Jordan that he needed to talk. There was a little small talk exchange. "Cartwright, I don't like the things I've heard you say about me." Jordan stared at him. "Cartwright, if I ever hear again that you're telling guys not to pass me the ball," Cartwright continued, "you will never play basketball again." Damn, Cartwright. But as Cartwright began to move better after surgery following the 89-90 season, Jordan began to accept him more. Oh, surprisingly. Jackson had offered Jordan a piece of advice. For as much as Jackson liked Cartwright, he realized one problem was that Jordan was too quick and too good as an athlete to play easily with Cartwright. "I know you hate that old man, but just listen." So he said, "When you pass him the ball," Jackson told Jordan, "throw it at his nose. He'll catch it then." Okay, so throw a pass that he can catch. Jackson also named Cartwright co-captain. "Mike, I need to show everybody that I'm actually in charge here. So, Bill's co-captain. Take that, Mike." But it didn't just end well. Mike continued to ice him out of the offense. Cartwright rarely grew angry like the younger players. He was just sad. Cartwright said, "Michael's the greatest athlete I've ever seen. Maybe the greatest athlete ever to play any sport. He can do whatever he wants. But he's just not a basketball player." Cartwright.
Cartwright?
Also, let me just hit this point again. How lazy is Jordan with his trash talk? He calls Muggsy a midget. He calls a 40-year-old man with a knee problem medical bill. Jordan's ego or it or whatever it is that makes you say what's on your brain is a pure adolescent, uncreative one. I mean, you know, between this story and that one with the older Robert Parrish joining the Bulls, where he basically told Jordan, don't talk that shit to me. I don't play your games because I've been around the league and I'll beat your ass. It seems to me that Jordan spent his time bullying short guys, white guys, rookies, mentally weak. But when it came to old school big men like Bill and Robert, Jordan, as the article says, ended up looking the other way eventually. Okay, back to KD. The point is, do your own research and don't just assume shit. Just because these idiots are more scared of Demarcus than they are of Kevin because they have fantasies about getting slapped by a 7-footer. Just because someone is bigger, madder, doesn't make them a better brawler or even a fighter to begin with. And for this, all we need to do is show one example. Shaquille O'Neal. A fat guy who can't fight. I think this is all we need to bust this perception wide open. Shaq, the biggest and self-identified most dominant, and he still couldn't fight for shit. His punches had about as much accuracy as his free throw percentage. But if I've proven anything in this video, it's that we can't be certain of any potential fight in the NBA because the fact is, nobody in the NBA can fight. Look at this depressing ass fight. Come on, Scotty. They look like they're 5 years old. What are they doing? And the only person who's getting hit here is the ref. After going through all this, after looking through a shit ton of NBA fight clips, juxtaposed with research on a Jordan story and a million other thoughts, I'm more certain than ever. How we view and define our players is 90% subjective and brutally selective at that. Nobody stands on their actual merits. It's never truly an unbiased, independent analysis, and it's 100% based on relativity, proximity, and gravity. All our featured characters today have been forcefully portrayed in a one-dimensional world, even though there are actual accounts of who they really are out there. But the dangerous part about today's game specifically, the difference between being a character back then and being one now, is that you used to be able to escape it. When these players were off the court, they got to be multi-dimensional millionaires. Jordan could run off and play golf and gamble the night before game. Magic could leave his family-friendly, wholesome good guy image on the court and cheat on his wife and participate in a 10-person orgy, and that didn't affect the on-court character. But now we never let a person go. A player cannot ever step out of their character. Players today are truly haunted by this TV character. There's so many talking dummies saying the same thing non-stop, literally 24 hours a day. And there are too many irrationally obsessive fans who invade their feeds to address them like they know them, and treating them as if that character they know is who they really are. We whittle them down and box them in until they are really smushed flat and nothing beyond that threshold matters. And in the end, when you refuse to consider the whole person, the people become characters. And we believe in these characters like it's the God-honest truth, and the perception of them takes over reality.
This isn't a game. I'm not playing games. Who will succeed? Who will fail? And who will be President of the United States?
And that ain't never good. Thanks for watching. You did it. You win. Now good day, sir. Good day. You stole fizzy lifting drink. And like always, everything evergreen. Remember Minute, and I will see you at 4 a.m. outside your window. 'Cause this